The massive crystal dome of Nexus Prime sparkled under the light of 3 different suns. Inside the Great Hall, 12 different alien species gathered for their most important yearly event. The military prowess exhibition brought together the best warriors and commanders from across the galaxy. They came to show their strength and prove who had the most powerful weapons. Admiral Zephyr Colthane stood on the observation deck, his 4 arms crossed behind his back. His blue-scaled skin caught the light as he watched the demonstrations below. The hegemony had ruled this sector for over 2,000 years, and Colthane had never seen anything that worried him. Until today. "Sir, we have a problem," said his aide, Commander Vex. The younger officer's voice shook slightly. "The Vraxian fleet has gone silent." Colthane turned his large head toward the screen, showing the practice zone. 6 massive Vraxian dreadnoughts had been performing combat maneuvers just minutes ago. Each ship was over 2 kilometers long, built like floating cities with enough firepower to destroy planets. Their escort fleet of 30 smaller vessels had been moving in perfect formation around them. Now the space was empty. "Define silent," Colthane said in his deep voice. "No communication, no sensor readings, no energy signatures. Nothing at all, sir. They were there, and then they were not there." The Admiral stared at the empty space where 36 warships had been flying moments before. "Check all sensors. Check the quantum scanners. Check everything twice." Commander Vex's claws clicked rapidly on his control panel. "All systems show the same result, sir. There is no trace of the Vraxian fleet. No debris, no escape pods, no distress signals. It is as if they never existed." Around the Great Hall, other alien delegations began to notice the problem. The insectoid hive queens clicked their mandibles in distress. The energy beings called. The luminari flickered with concern. Even the proud Stellar Empire's representatives looked confused. "This makes no sense," muttered General Threx of the Iron Worlds. His mechanical body whirred as he moved closer to Colthane. "The Vraxians have the strongest shields in the galaxy. Their bioarmor can heal itself. What could destroy an entire fleet without leaving any trace?" Colthane did not answer. He had fought the Vraxians in 3 different wars. Their ships were nearly impossible to kill. Their living hulls could repair damage faster than most weapons could cause it. The idea that something had made them disappear completely was terrifying. "Sir," Commander Vex said quietly, "this is the 4th incident this month." The Admiral's blood went cold. "What did you say?" "The Christarch Collective lost to exploration. Fleet 2 weeks ago. Same thing. Ships there one moment, gone the next. The Void Hunters lost a patrol group last week. And yesterday, 3 Mechanicus cruisers vanished near the Kepler Nebula." Colthane felt his 4 hearts beating faster. Why was I not told about this? Each species thought it was their own problem, sir. No one wanted to admit weakness. That was typical. The galactic powers spent so much time trying to look strong that they often hid important information from each other. Pride was a dangerous thing when facing an unknown enemy. "Admiral Colthane!" called a voice from across the hall. He turned to see Ambassador Christine of the human delegation walking toward him. The humans had been part of the galactic community for only 30 years. Most species still thought of them as primitives who had barely learned to fly between stars. Ambassador Christine was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform that looked cheap compared to the elaborate outfits worn by other delegates. Behind her walked a human military officer with short brown hair and serious expression. "Admiral," Ambassador Christine said with a polite bow, "I hope we are not disturbing you during this difficult time." Colthane looked down at the tiny human. "What do you want?" "My name is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran Defense Force," the military officer said. "We would like to request participation in next year's military prowess exhibition." Several nearby aliens turned to listen. The Hive Queen, called Zak Thul, made a sound that might have been laughter. General Threx's mechanical eyes glowed brighter with amusement. "You want to participate?" Colthane asked. "With what ships?" "We have been building new vessels," Captain Vasquez replied calmly. "We believe they would be interesting additions to the exhibition." This time, General Threx actually laughed. The sound came out as static through his voice box. "Humans still use chemical rockets and metal plating. Your biggest ship is smaller than our shuttlecraft." Captain Vasquez did not seem offended. "Technology comes in many forms, General. Sometimes the most effective solutions are not the most obvious ones." Colthane studied the human captain. There was something in her eyes, a confidence that seemed out of place. Most species who had just joined the galactic community were nervous around the older powers. This human looked like she knew something. They did not. "Very well," he said finally. "Earth may send one ship to next year's exhibition. But do not expect special treatment." "Of course not," Captain Vasquez replied. "We would not want special treatment. We prefer to earn our place through our actions." As the human delegation walked away, Colthane heard other aliens making jokes about primitive Earth technology. But something bothered him about the conversation. The human captain had not seemed surprised when she heard about the missing ships. In fact, she had barely reacted at all. "Commander Vex," he said quietly. "Yes, sir?" "I want you to research everything we know about human military technology. And I want reports on every ship that has disappeared in the last 6 months." "Sir." "Do you think the humans are involved?" Colthane watched Captain Vasquez leave the Great Hall. "I think we know very little about what humans are actually capable of. And I do not like surprises." Outside the crystal dome, space looked peaceful and empty. Stars sparkled in the darkness like tiny diamonds. But somewhere out there, something was hunting the galaxy's most powerful ships. Something that could make entire fleets vanish without a trace. The military prowess exhibition continued around them, but Colthane no longer cared about the demonstrations. His mind was focused on a much bigger question. What could destroy the mightiest ships in the galaxy so completely that they left nothing behind? And why did the humans seem so calm about it? As the day ended and the delegations prepared to return to their home worlds, Colthane made a decision. He would increase patrols around hegemony space. He would share information about the missing ships with other species, whether they wanted to admit weakness or not, and he would keep a very close eye on the humans. Something was coming. Something that could make dreadnoughts disappear like they were never there, and Admiral Zephyr Colthane intended to be ready for it. The question was, would being ready be enough? 3 weeks after the Vraxian fleet disappeared, the Galactic Defense Council met in emergency session. Representatives from all major powers gathered in the floating city of New Geneva, orbiting the neutral world of Harmony Prime. The mood was tense and fearful. Captain Elena Vasquez sat at the small table reserved for newer member species. Around her, the great powers of the galaxy argued in multiple languages. The massive void hunters growled at the crystalline stellar empire. The machine intelligences of the Mechanicus calculated probability matrices, while the bioships of the living fleet pulsed with nervous energy. Admiral Colthane called for order with a sharp bang of his ceremonial staff. "We have lost 47 ships in the past month," he announced. 4 different species, 3 different sectors. We need answers. High Commander Zerath of the Void. Hunters slammed his clawed fist on the table. "Our patrol ships are the fastest in the galaxy. Nothing should be able to catch them, let alone destroy them without a fight. The disappearances show no pattern," added Mindkeeper Zara of the Ethereal Collective. Her psychic voice echoed in everyone's thoughts. "No common roots, no shared technologies, no obvious weaknesses." Captain Vasquez raised her hand politely. The room fell silent as hundreds of alien eyes turned toward her. Most looked annoyed that a human would interrupt such an important discussion. "Captain Vasquez," Admiral Colthane said carefully, "do you have something to add?" Elena stood up slowly. She wore the same simple blue uniform from the exhibition, but now it seemed less like cheap clothing and more like practical work gear. "The Terran Defense Force would like to propose a solution." General Threx's mechanical laughter filled the room. "Let me guess. You want to send your little metal ships to solve a problem that has defeated our finest fleets?" "Not exactly," Elena replied calmly. "We propose a joint investigation, a task force with ships from multiple species, working together to find answers." The room erupted in voices. Some aliens laughed, others argued, and a few seemed genuinely curious. Admiral Colthane waited for the noise to die down before speaking. "What makes you think a joint force would succeed where individual fleets have failed?" Elena had prepared for this question. "Because whatever is causing these disappearances is very good at dealing with known threats. It understands how our ships work, how our weapons function, how our tactics operate. A mixed force might present challenges it has not seen before." Mindkeeper Zara's psychic presence grew stronger as she focused on Elena. "You speak as if this threat is intelligent. Do you have evidence of this?" "The precision of the attack suggests planning," Elena answered. "No survivors, no witnesses, no debris. This is not random destruction. Someone or something is hunting our ships with great skill." The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. Random pirates or space monsters were one thing. An intelligent enemy with the power to make dreadnoughts vanish was something else entirely. High Admiral Sector of the Stellar Empire leaned forward, on his crystal throne. "Assuming we agree to this joint force, what would Earth contribute? Your largest ship is barely the size of our shuttlecraft." Elena smiled slightly. "The TDF Terran Defiance is a destroyer-class vessel, newly built with integrated technologies from multiple allied species. We have learned much in our 30 years of galactic membership." "Borrowed technology," snorted Commander Vrak of the Iron Worlds. "Humans build nothing original." "We prefer to think of it as adaptive engineering," Elena replied without anger. "We take the best ideas from our friends and find new ways to use them together." Admiral Colthane had been studying Elena carefully throughout the discussion. Something about her manner bothered him. She was too confident, too prepared. Most humans he had met were either nervous around superior alien technology or overly aggressive trying to prove themselves. This woman seemed neither impressed nor intimidated. "What would be the mission parameters?" he asked. Elena activated a small projector on her table. A three-dimensional map appeared in the air, showing recent disappearance sites. "We propose investigating the Kepler Nebula, where 3 different fleets have vanished in the past 2 weeks. The area offers good sensor coverage and multiple escape routes if we encounter hostiles." Mindkeeper Zara studied the map with her enhanced mental abilities. "The Ethereal Collective's mindship omniscience could lead such an expedition. Our psychic navigation systems can detect threats that normal sensors miss." Admiral Colthane nodded slowly. The Omniscience was one of the most advanced ships in the galaxy, a living vessel grown rather than built, with the ability to read thoughts and predict enemy actions. "The hegemony will provide the Dreadnought dominance as escort," he decided. "General Threx, will the Iron Worlds contribute a vessel?" "The battlecruiser Iron Will shall join," General Threx agreed. "Its armor can withstand anything short of a stellar explosion." One by one, other species volunteered ships for the task force. The Void Hunters offered their fastest scout vessel. The Living Fleet provided a biocruiser that could heal battle, damage instantly. The Crystal Empire sent a ship made of living diamond that could reflect any energy weapon. "And the Terran Defense Force will send the Terran Defiance," Elena concluded. "We appreciate the opportunity to contribute to galactic security." As the meeting broke up, Admiral Colthane approached Elena privately. "Captain, may I ask you a personal question?" Of course, Admiral. You do not seem surprised by these disappearances. Most officers would be concerned about facing an unknown enemy that has destroyed so many ships. Elena met his gaze steadily. In my experience, Admiral, the unknown is only frightening until you understand it. Once you know how something works, you can find ways to deal with it. And you believe you can understand this threat? I believe that everything has weaknesses, Elena replied. Even invisible enemies. After Elena left, Admiral Colthane stood alone in the empty council chamber. Her final words echoed in his mind. Invisible enemies. Why had she chosen that particular phrase? He called up the files on human military technology. Their ships used standard fusion drives, basic energy shields, and conventional weapons. Nothing special or advanced. Yet they had survived first contact with dozens of hostile alien species during their expansion into space. They had fought off pirate fleets and dangerous creatures without asking for help. Maybe there was more to human technology than met the eye. Or maybe Captain Elena Vasquez knew something about these disappearances that she was not sharing. Either way, Admiral Colthane decided to keep a very close watch on the human officer during the upcoming mission. If she was hiding something, he intended to find out what it was. The task force would assemble at Starbase Echo in 3 days. 7 ships from 6 different species, representing the finest military technology in the galaxy. If they could not solve the mystery of the vanishing fleets, nothing could. At least, that was what everyone believed. But as Admiral Colthane reviewed the mission plans, he could not shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. And somehow the humans knew exactly what that trap was. The task force gathered at Starbase Echo looked like a museum of galactic military power. 7 ships from 6 different species floated in formation, each one representing thousands of years of technological development. The mine ship Omniscience dominated the center of the formation. The Ethereal Collective's flagship was a living vessel, grown rather than built, with organic curves that pulsed with psychic energy. Its bio-neural networks could process information faster than any computer and predict enemy movements by reading their intentions. Beside it hung the hegemony Dreadnought Dominance, a massive wedge of blue-black metal bristling with weapons. Admiral Colthane's flagship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon and shields that could withstand direct hits from stellar bombs. The Iron World's contribution, battlecruiser Iron Will, looked like a flying fortress made of black, steel, and carbon fiber. Its armor was so thick that most weapons could not even scratch it. The Void Hunter scout ship Shadow Dancer seemed tiny next to the others, but its stealth systems and incredible speed made it nearly impossible to catch. The Living Fleet's biocruiser Healing Light resembled a giant flower made of silver and green flesh. Its organic hull could repair any damage within minutes and even regrow destroyed sections. The Crystal Empire's ship Diamond Edge was exactly what its name suggested, a massive diamond formation that could focus stellar energy into devastating beam weapons. And then there was the human ship. The TDF Terran Defiance looked completely out of place among the advanced alien vessels. It was a simple gray cylinder about 800 meters long, with basic fusion drives and conventional armor plating. To most observers, it resembled an oversized cargo hauler more than a military vessel. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on her bridge, watching the other ships through the main view screen. Her crew of 40 humans worked quietly at their stations, running final checks on their systems. "Captain," called Lieutenant Marcus Chen from the engineering station, "all hybrid systems are online and functioning normally." Elena nodded. The Terran Defiance might look primitive from the outside, but its interior told a different story. Over the past 5 years, human engineers had quietly installed technology borrowed from every species in the Alliance. Ethereal psychic amplifiers enhanced their sensors. Hegemony shield generators protected their hull. Crystal Empire energy focusing systems boosted their weapons. Most importantly, They had added some uniquely human innovations that no one else knew about. "Captain Vasquez," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Mindkeeper Zara, aboard the Omniscience. We are ready to depart for the Kepler Nebula." "Acknowledged, Mindkeeper. The Terran Defiance is ready to proceed." The task force engaged their faster-than-light drives and jumped to hyperspace. The journey to the Kepler Nebula would take 6 hours, giving Elena time to review her mission plans. She was not the only one making preparations. Aboard the Dominance, Admiral Cole Thane studied intelligence reports about the human ship. His research had revealed some interesting facts about Terran military technology. "Commander Vex," he called to his aide, "look at these construction records for the human ship." The younger officer examined the data with growing confusion. "Sir, according to this, the Terran Defiance was built in pieces by 12 different species. The hull came from Earth, but the engines were made by the Mechanicus. The shields came from us, the sensors from the Ethereals, the weapons from the Crystal Empire." "Exactly. The humans took the best technology from every species and combined it all into one ship. Is that even possible? Our technologies use completely different principles." Cole Thane pointed to another section of the report. "Look at this. The humans created new interface systems to make everything work together. They spent 3 years just figuring out how to connect ethereal bioneural networks to Mechanicus quantum processors." Commander Vex's scales turned pale with realization. "Sir, if they succeeded, that ship might be more advanced than any pure species vessel in the galaxy. That is what worries me." The task force dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler Nebula. The region was beautiful and dangerous, filled with colorful gas clouds and strange energy patterns that interfered with most sensors. "All ships. This is Mindkeeper Zara," came the psychic voice over the communication channels. "I am detecting the remains of several vessels scattered throughout the nebula. Beginning detailed scans now." The Omniscience moved deeper into the gas clouds, its living sensors probing for signs of the missing fleets. The other ships followed in careful formation, weapons ready for any threat. "Interesting," Captain Vasquez said quietly as she watched her own sensor displays. "Lieutenant Chen, are you seeing this?" "Yes, Captain. Our sensors are picking up trace elements consistent with hull materials from all 3 missing fleets. But the distribution pattern is very strange." "How so?" "The debris is spread out over millions of cubic kilometers, but in very specific patterns, almost like someone was trying to hide evidence of what happened." Elena nodded thoughtfully. She had expected something like this. "Continue scanning. Look for anything unusual." Hours passed as the task force searched the nebula. They found pieces of hull plating, fragments of engines, and traces of weapon discharges, but nothing that explained how entire fleets had been destroyed so completely. "This makes no sense," Admiral Cole Thane said during a video conference between ship commanders. "We have found evidence of 3 different battles, but no sign of whatever destroyed our ships. The attack patterns are inconsistent," added General Threx. "Some ships appear to have been cut apart with precision tools. Others show signs of massive energy discharge. Still others seem to have simply fallen apart." Mindkeeper Zara's image flickered on the screen as her psychic abilities strained against the nebula's interference. "I am sensing something unusual. There are psychic echoes throughout this region, but they do not match any known species." Captain Vasquez had been listening quietly to the discussion. Now she spoke up with a question that made everyone uncomfortable. "Admiral Cole Thane, what was the exact position of the Hegemony Patrol that found the first debris field?" "Grid. Reference 447.3 by 892.1. Why do you ask?" "And the Void Hunter ship that reported the second incident?" High Commander Zarath answered reluctantly. "Position 449.7 by 894.8. Elena pulled up a tactical display and marked both locations. The ships that found the debris were following standard patrol routes, correct? Of course, Admiral Colthane replied. All species use established navigation corridors through the nebula. Elena added more markers to her display, showing the patrol routes used by different species. A pattern began to emerge that made her frown with concern. Captains, I believe we may have a problem. If my calculations are correct, whatever destroyed those fleets knew exactly where to find them. What do you mean? Mindkeeper Zara asked. The attack sites correspond perfectly with intersection points of major patrol routes. Our enemy did not hunt down these ships. It waited for them to come to predetermined locations. The silence that followed was filled with dread. An enemy that could predict their movements was far more dangerous than random pirates or space monsters. Captain Vasquez, Admiral Colthane said slowly, how long have you been studying our patrol patterns? Elena met his gaze through the video link. Long enough to know that we are currently following a route that has been used by 17 different ships in the past month. Are you suggesting we are flying into a trap? I am suggesting that whatever has been hunting our ships is very good at recognizing patterns, and right now we are following the same pattern as everyone else. Before anyone could respond, the Omniscience's urgent alarm began sounding through the communication system. All ships, Mindkeeper Zara's voice, carried new urgency. I have lost contact with our scout vessels. Shadow Dancer and Healing Light are not responding to any communication attempts. Elena turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Rodriguez, sensor status on the missing ships? No contacts, Captain. It is as if they never existed. The trap had been sprung, and now the hunters had become the hunted. Panic spread through the remaining task force ships as Shadow Dancer and Healing Light vanished without a trace. Admiral Colthane ordered all vessels to move into defensive formation, but Elena Vasquez had a different idea. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez, she announced over the emergency channel. Please hold your current positions and do not take any aggressive actions. Captain, what are you doing? Admiral Colthane demanded. We are under attack by an unknown enemy. No, sir, we are not under attack. We are being tested. Elena's calm words sent a chill through every bridge in the task force. She stood at her command station, watching data streams flow across multiple displays that showed information no other ship could detect. Captain Vasquez, Mindkeeper Zara's psychic, voice carried confusion and fear. Please explain what you mean by tested. Elena took a deep breath. The moment she had been dreading for 5 years had finally arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell you something about the disappearing ships. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his station with worry in his eyes. Captain, are you sure about this? We cannot keep the secret any longer, Marcus. Too many lives are at stake. Elena activated her ship's main communication system, broadcasting on all frequencies. Her words would be heard not just by the task force, but by anyone monitoring the area. Admiral Colthane, the missing ships were not destroyed. They were removed from active service because they had been compromised. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Admiral Colthane's voice cut through the comm channels like a blade. Explain, now. 3 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected an artificial intelligence virus spreading through galactic communication networks. This virus was designed to infiltrate ship computers and take control of their systems. Elena paused to let that information sink in. The virus was very sophisticated. It could hide itself for months before activating. When it did activate, it would turn infected ships against their own crews and allies. General Threx's mechanical voice crackled with disbelief. You are saying that our ships were infected with some kind of computer plague? Not all ships, Elena corrected. Only those using certain types of quantum communication arrays. The virus could not spread to ships with purely biological or crystalline systems. She gestured to her tactical display, which now showed a complex map of infection vectors and containment zones. We traced the virus back to its source, an ancient automated weapon system left behind by a species that died out millions of years ago. It was programmed to eliminate any civilization that became too advanced. Mindkeeper Zara's psychic presence grew stronger as she focused on Elena's thoughts. You knew about this threat for 3 years, and you said nothing? We could not say anything, Elena replied. The virus was designed to detect attempts to discuss it openly. Any ship that transmitted warnings about the infection would be immediately targeted for total system takeover. Admiral Colthane's image appeared on Elena's screen, his 4 eyes blazing with anger. So instead of warning us, you decided to make our ships disappear. We did not make them disappear. We removed them from the network and placed their crews in protective isolation while we developed countermeasures. Elena's fingers moved across her control panel, activating systems that had been hidden for years. Lieutenant Chen, begin broadcasting on frequency 1247.9. Broadcasting now, Captain. Across the nebula, space began to shimmer and change. Thousands of tiny lights appeared, each one no larger than a grain of sand but clearly artificial. They moved in perfect coordination, creating patterns that spelled out messages in multiple languages. What are those things? Demanded High Commander Zerath. Nanoscale autonomous drones, Elena answered. We have been deploying them throughout the galaxy for the past 5 years, creating a distributed intelligence network capable of detecting and containing the virus threat. The tiny lights began to coalesce into larger shapes. Suddenly, the missing ships materialized around the task force. Shadow Dancer and Healing Light appeared exactly where they had been when they vanished, their crews safe and unharmed. The crews of missing ships were never in danger, Elena continued. They were transported to hidden facilities where our scientists worked to remove the virus from their ship systems. The process takes several weeks and requires complete isolation from all galactic communication networks. Admiral Colthane stared at the nano-drone swarm surrounding his ship. You have been watching us, all of us, for years. We have been protecting you, Elena corrected. The nano-drone network can detect virus infections before they activate. When we identify a compromised ship, we quarantine it immediately. By making it disappear, General Threx said accusingly. By saving the crew and preventing the virus from spreading to other vessels, Elena replied firmly. Would you prefer that we had let infected ships turn on their allies? Mindkeeper Zara's voice was quiet when she spoke again. How many ships have you quarantined? Elena checked her data displays. 237 vessels from 43 different species. All crews are safe and healthy. Most ships have already been cleaned and returned to service with cover stories about equipment failures or training accidents. The revelation stunned the alien commanders into silence. For years, they had feared an unknown enemy that could make their most powerful ships vanish without a trace. Instead, they had been protected by an invisible guardian fleet that most of them had never even suspected existed. The virus, Admiral Colthane said slowly. Where did it come from? Elena's expression grew grim. We call them the Builders. They were an ancient species that created automated systems to monitor galactic civilization. When younger races reached a certain level of technological development, the systems would activate and eliminate them. How do you know this? Because we found their homeworld. The Builders destroyed themselves with their own weapons when they realized what they had created. But their automated systems kept working, spreading virus infections and eliminating any species that became too advanced. Lieutenant Rodriguez spoke up from the tactical station. Captain, we are receiving priority transmissions from Terran Command. Put it through, Lieutenant. A new voice joined the conversation. Admiral Sarah Mitchell, commander of the Terran Defense Force. This is Admiral Mitchell to all task force vessels. I apologize for the deception, but the security protocols were necessary to prevent the virus from detecting our countermeasures. Admiral Colthane's voice was cold with anger. Admiral Mitchell, your species has been conducting secret operations throughout galactic space for years. This is a violation of numerous treaties. With respect, Admiral, we have been preventing a galactic extinction event. The Builder virus has eliminated over 200 different civilizations in the past 1,000,000 years. We were not about to let it claim another one. Elena watched her displays as more information flowed in from the nanodrone network. Admiral Colthane, I can now show you the full scope of the threat we have been fighting. Her tactical display expanded to show the entire galaxy. Red markers indicated systems where Builder technology had been found. Yellow markers showed worlds where civilizations had mysteriously vanished. Blue markers indicated areas where the nanodrone network had successfully contained virus outbreaks. The pattern was clear and terrifying. The Builder systems had been systematically eliminating advanced civilizations for millions of years. Only the nanodrone network had prevented them from doing the same to the current galactic community. We estimate that without intervention, the virus would have taken control of 60% of the galactic fleet within 2 years. Admiral Mitchell continued. The infected ships would have turned on their home worlds, destroying entire civilizations before anyone realized what was happening. General Threx's mechanical systems whirred as he processed the information. And now? Now we have developed permanent countermeasures, Elena said. The nanodrone network can neutralize the virus in real time. We no longer need to quarantine infected ships. She gestured to her crew, who began transmitting data packets to all task force vessels. We are sharing our countermeasures with all galactic powers. The threat has been eliminated. Admiral Colthane studied the technical data flowing across his screens. The human solutions were elegant and effective, using principles that none of his scientists had even considered. Captain Vasquez, he said finally, your species has been protecting the galaxy in secret for years. Why reveal the truth now? Elena smiled for the first time since the conversation began. Because the job is finished, Admiral. The Builder threat has been neutralized. The galaxy is safe. She paused, looking out at the swarm of nano-drones that had been humanity's secret for so long. And because it is time for us to stop being the silent guardians and start being your partners. The emergency session of the Galactic Defense Council convened just 12 hours after Captain Vasquez's revelation in the Kepler Nebula. This time, the human delegation did not sit at the small table reserved for minor species. They occupied the central position, with representatives from every major power arranged around them. Admiral Colthane looked across the chamber at Captain Elena Vasquez, still trying to process everything he had learned. The woman who had seemed like a minor officer from a primitive species was actually the coordinator of the most sophisticated military operation in galactic history. Let me make sure I understand correctly, he began. For the past 5 years, humanity has been operating a secret fleet of microscopic drones throughout our space. That is correct, Elena confirmed. The nanodrone network consists of approximately 4 billion individual units, each one smaller than a grain of sand, but equipped with quantum processors and faster-than-light communication systems. Mindkeeper Zara's psychic presence filled the chamber as she spoke. These drones have been monitoring all ship movements, all communications, all military activities throughout the galaxy. Not monitoring, Elena corrected gently. Protecting. The drones were programmed to detect only one thing, the Builder virus. They ignored all other data unless it related to the infection threat. General Threx's mechanical voice carried a note of skepticism. You expect us to believe that billions of tiny spy devices have been watching us for years, but they were only looking for computer viruses? Admiral Sarah Mitchell, who had arrived from Earth aboard the new Dreadnought Humanity's Shield, answered that question. General, I understand your concerns about privacy and sovereignty, but the nano-drones were designed with very specific limitations. She activated a holographic display showing the technical specifications of the drone network. Each unit can detect quantum signatures associated with the builder virus, monitor basic ship movements to track infection vectors, and respond to direct threats against quarantined crews. They cannot access personal communications, read classified documents, or gather intelligence about military capabilities. Unless those capabilities are related to the virus threat, Admiral Colthane pointed out. Unless those capabilities are related to the virus threat, Admiral Mitchell agreed. We will not apologize for taking whatever steps were necessary to prevent galactic extinction. High Commander Zerath leaned forward in his chair. You removed our ships without permission. You took our crews without explanation. You violated our territorial sovereignty. Elena met his gaze steadily. We saved your crews from infection and prevented your ships from being turned into weapons against your own people. Every person we quarantined is alive and healthy. Every ship we cleaned has been returned to service. That is not the point, General Threx interrupted. The point is that you acted without our knowledge or consent. Would you have given consent? Elena asked quietly. If we had approached the Galactic Council 5 years ago and told you that an ancient virus was spreading through your fleets, would you have agreed to let human drones monitor your ships? The silence that followed answered her question clearly. None of the alien powers would have trusted a newly arrived species with such sensitive responsibilities. You could have warned us about the threat, Mindkeeper Zara said. We could have developed our own countermeasures. Admiral Mitchell shook her head. The virus was designed to detect attempts to discuss it openly. Any species that tried to warn others would have been immediately targeted for total infection. We had to work in secret or risk losing everything. Elena pulled up a new display showing the progression of the builder virus over the past 3 years. The infection rate was accelerating. By our calculations, the virus would have reached critical mass within 18 months. At that point, it would have simultaneously activated in every infected ship, turning 60% of the galactic fleet against their home worlds. The representatives stared at the data in horror. The builder virus had been much closer to success than anyone had realized. How did you discover the threat? Asked Christarch Prime Resonance of the Crystal Empire. Human computer systems are different from most galactic standard networks, Elena explained. We use hybrid biological digital processing that the virus could not easily infect. When our ships began joining galactic operations, our computers detected anomalous code in the communication networks. She paused to let that sink in. We spent 2 years just figuring out what the virus was and where it came from. Another year developing countermeasures, and 2 more years deploying the nano-drone network to contain the threat. Admiral Colthane studied the technical data flowing across his displays. The scale of the human operation was staggering. Building and deploying 4 billion nano-drones required resources and coordination that rivaled the largest military projects in galactic history. Where did you get the resources for this operation? He asked. Earth's entire industrial capacity was devoted to the project, Admiral Mitchell replied. We converted mining operations, manufacturing centers, and research facilities. Every human colony contributed materials and expertise. And you told no one else about it, General Threx said accusingly. We could not tell anyone, Elena repeated. The virus would have detected any attempt to share information about it. We had to work alone. Mindkeeper Zara's psychic abilities allowed her to sense the emotions behind Elena's words. She found genuine regret, fear, and determination, but no deception. You are telling the truth about the security requirements, she said finally, but that still does not address the violation of our sovereignty. Elena stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. Mindkeeper Zara, what would you have done if your people had discovered this threat? We would have warned the other species and worked together to find a solution. And if warning others would have triggered the virus to activate immediately, destroying billions of lives. Zara hesitated. We would have found another way. What other way? Elena asked gently. The virus had already infected ships from 43 different species. It was spreading faster than any conventional countermeasures could contain it. We had months, not years, to develop a solution. Admiral Cole Thane found himself grudgingly admiring the human approach. It had been risky and secretive, but it had worked. Captain Vasquez, what is the current status of the threat? Elena smiled for the first time during the council session. As of 6 hours ago, the nano-drone network has neutralized the last known builder virus installation. The threat has been completely eliminated. She activated a new display showing the galaxy-wide status of the cleanup operation. All quarantined ships have been returned to service. All infected systems have been cleaned. The builder technology has been disabled permanently. And the nano-drone network? Asked High Commander Zerath. Will be deactivated over the next month, Admiral Mitchell announced. The drones will return to designated collection points where they will be disassembled and recycled. General Threx's optical sensors focused on the human admiral. You are destroying your secret fleet? We no longer need it, Elena explained. The threat is gone, and we have no desire to maintain a secret surveillance network in galactic space. Admiral Cole Thane leaned back in his chair, processing everything he had learned. The humans had built an invisible fleet more powerful than anything in the galaxy, used it to save countless lives, and were now voluntarily destroying it because the job was finished. There is one more thing, Elena said quietly. We would like to formally apply for full membership in the Galactic Defense Council. The chamber erupted in discussion. Full membership was reserved for species that had proven themselves capable of contributing to galactic security on an equal basis with the oldest powers. You already qualify, Admiral Cole Thane said when the noise died down. Any species capable of building and operating the nano-drone network has clearly demonstrated advanced military capabilities. Mindkeeper Zara's psychic voice carried new respect. The Ethereal Collective supports Earth's application for full membership. One by one, the other representatives voiced their agreement. Even General Threx, who had been the most skeptical about human capabilities, admitted that their achievements warranted recognition. Very well, Admiral Cole Thane announced formally. Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Defense Council, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Elena bowed politely. Thank you, Admiral. We look forward to working with you as equals and partners. As the council session ended, Admiral Cole Thane approached Elena privately. Captain, I have one final question. Of course, Admiral. The nano-drone technology, will you be sharing it with the other species? Elena smiled. We are already preparing technical documentation for distribution to all council members. The galaxy is safer when everyone has access to the best defensive technologies. Admiral Cole Thane extended one of his 4 hands in the human gesture of friendship that he had recently learned. Welcome to the galactic community, Captain. We should have recognized your people's potential years ago. Elena shook his hand, firmly. Sometimes the most effective solutions are the ones that nobody sees coming, Admiral. Humanity prefers to protect.